Hi, I'm Doug McKinlay and you're watching Adorama TV. Now, one thing I love about photography is its flexibility. Landscapes, portraits, reportage, all make great subjects. But for today's episode, we're going to stick around the house, in the kitchen, where hopefully, with the items we find there, we can make some interesting pictures. We're going to use this array of stuff in front of me to try and get some great shots. Camera gear wise, we've got a Canon 5D Mark III, a 100mm macro, a 50mm 1.2, and a 24-70 2.8. We'll also be using our Speedlite and a torch for some side lighting, as well as for stability's sake, we'll be shooting with a cable release and of course off of our tripod. As for composition, I like to shoot these subjects really tight. In fact, if you want to isolate just one little aspect of one of your subjects, try using a macro lens for that ant's eye view. With this setup, for instance, I've got some forks lined up tops to tail with a couple of asparagus spears, which I've just salvaged out of the fridge, on top of a poster board, white poster board, with my torch or flashlight off to the side, just throwing a little bit of side light on there. Now, I'm getting a pretty good shutter speed at ISO 200. I'm getting a shutter speed of about 125-ish, 160th with this 50mm lens set at f2. So I can handhold this at the moment. However, if I start to look for greater depth of field, going up to f8 or f11, then I'm going to have to go to the tripod to steady the camera. It's a very simple setup, but it looks good in color and in black and white. So make sure you experiment. For this next setup, I'm going to use a colander. The reason why I'm going to use the colander is I like the pattern of the holes and the metallicness of the whole thing. So I'm looking for the patterns. That's what I want to focus on. Now when I drop it onto this poster board, it just looks a bit dull. So I want to put a little bit of an angle on it. Also helps to reflect the light a little bit better. So I'm going to use anything I can find just to hold it up. My telephone happens to be handy, so it's going to go underneath. Now from there, I'm going to use the camera mounted on a tripod because the shutter speed is going to be a bit slow. I'm also using a 100mm macro, a 2.8, which should give me pretty decent blur. So we'll drag it into place. We'll check our composition. We'll check our exposure. And we'll take our test shot. I do suggest you use a cable release so you don't have to touch the camera at all, thus minimizing any chance of camera shake. Okay, what I think it needs is a little more light, so I'm going to stick the Speedlite on, stick it onto the hot shoe. Now this Speedlite head pivots, so I've pivoted it toward the ceiling so I can use the ceiling and the diffuser to create a nice even light. I've also have the Speedlite set to manual, so the output, I can reduce the output and not blast my subject into oblivion. Do a test shot. It's looking good, a slight adjustment. One more time. There, we got a nice shot of the pattern of the holes and that nice metallic shiny surface. Back to the forks. I think forks are really great for this kind of stuff. So I've got two forks head to head, placed on a piece of curved poster board, which I've taped to the tops and to the countertop. The curve is going to give us that nice, even, almost shadowless light. And along with that, I've got an egg. Ooh, a rubber egg. Now, the composition is going to be to set the egg on top of the forks, thusly, hopefully without it falling over. Now I'm going to use a Speedlite attached to my camera, and because I can balance my camera on the countertop here, I'm not going to use the tripod. Brave, I know. So I'm using a macro lens, a 100mm macro lens. I want to be nice and tight with the framing. I want to make sure I cut out any extraneous material, such as the foreground here. We don't need to see that tape. We definitely don't need to see the taps either. So it's just gonna be right on the egg, right on the tops of the forks. And just to be sure, I'm balancing on top of the countertop. Take your time with it, breathe in, let it out halfway, take a shot. I didn't want to use too high an ISO because I didn't want to introduce any noise. So we're set at ISO 200. Just give me a fairly slow shutter speed, about 1/60th, and an F number at f2.8. If you do decide you want to increase that depth of field, then you will have to go to the tripod because the shutter speed will go slower. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we sign off for today is I've only touched the surface here. We've done some very, very simple, straightforward compositions here. There are tons of things you can do with your kitchen materials. So be sure to experiment. So that's it for me. I'm Doug McKinlay for Adorama TV. Don't forget to subscribe to Adorama TV for more great videos. Please tell us what you think. You can like, comment, or share this video. And do stop by the Adorama Learning Center for more great tips and tricks.